Welcome to tonight's transmission of the Ministry of Assumption, absolute manifestation from a non-dual perspective, ignition keys to your self-liberation. I am your host and self-sovereignty mentor, Lucian St. James, and I thank you so much for co-creating this moment here with me, taking a scriptural and textual look tonight here on this transmission of why identity, why attunement of your attention is the only thing that you need to do. You don't need to effort, you don't need to strive. The tips and tricks and techniques and different things should only guide you deeper into the state of understanding that it's already here. And not even really understand it because it's not a cognitive understanding. It is an internal realization of remembrance. So we are going to take a look at Luke 5:36. This is an NIV translation. Translation does matter. Now the context is that this is right as Jesus has just, or Yeshua has just recruited Levi, who is a tax collector. And Levi was like, all right, cool, I'm giving it all up to the I am, because Yeshua was like, follow me, or at least, just prior in Luke 5. And Levi was like, cool. And that's how simple it can be. I mean, all of the stories as to like how Yeshua's disciples came to him, or rather he went to them, and they just decided. I mean, what that's showing you is that it is just a decision to live in the truth of your I am. It is a decision to understand I don't need to control anything out there. I also see like within that theme, where Levi was like, yeah, cool, all right, and just followed him. I also see that it's a release of all external conditions, right? Because, I mean, think about that. Like, think about if some man who says he is the holy divine Messiah, take it all up and walk with me, you'd probably be like, well, what about, I gotta call this person and get this thing set up, and what are we gonna do about my mortgage? And I have kids, and we have all of these external things. Now, I'm not telling you to go follow strange men who are saying strange things, who are telling you that they're God. That's not my point. The point being about the really more of a metaphysical, more Gnostic interpretation of when you understand the truth of the I am, it's all over. You've entered the afterlife, as I like. That's kind of my ideology here in the ministry, that it's done. There's no more, what do I have to do to get? There's no more, what do I have to arrange and organize? Because this ego 3D personality is very concerned about what it needs to do in order to ensure its safety, its security, its affirmation, its validation of significance within itself. And Yeshua walks up to, as the story repeats in the Gospels, his disciples, and says, follow me. And they go, because once you understand, remember the truth of I am within, then it's done. Then you've decided to align with your divinity within. And that doesn't mean that all problems and struggles are over. It means that they no longer have control over who you are. You stop assigning source. You stop assigning the truth of reality to the circumstance of appearance, because you understand that you are the creator, the origin point of all things, deciding how you experience this 3D reality by what you assign to yourself, and in that assignment, what you pay attention to, what you attune your alignments with, what you agree to, what you know to be certain. And what you know to be certain is not necessarily the case. It's just a fragment of reality that you've chosen to agree with so many times that it appears to be an ever-present truth. And that's really by way of your witness that truth is only so because you have witnessed it to be such. So Luke 5:36, Levi has just decided, like, cool, I'm walking with Yeshua. Throws a party for Yeshua, and they're all talking at the party. some Pharisees, Pharisees are always, and Pharisees are the authority, right? Like Pharisees are like your nitpicky friends or your parents that don't understand what you've got going on. It might literally be, some type of institutional, dogmatic symbol of authority. But they're like, why are you eating with tax collectors? Yeshua was like, it's not the sick. It's not the healthy that need a doctor. It's the sick. And that's who I'm rolling with. And they're like, but, John and his disciples, they're just so good. Why don't you hang out with those people? They fast, but your friends, they just go about eating and drinking. So like, they're always like hassling and like picking at Jesus, Yeshua. And anyway, so Luke 5:36, it's presumably the way I kind of imagine is like maybe they're like comfortable sitting at this table, or there's a time for speaking. Maybe things have died down a little bit. And Yeshua says, no one takes a piece out of a new garment to patch an old one. Otherwise, they would have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will not match the old. Luke 5:36 NIV. No one takes a piece out of a new garment to patch an old one. Otherwise, they would have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will not match the old. So, what is it saying? That we try, and it's subtle, but all you need to do is make a decision and stick with it. That's all you need to do. I mean, that really simplifies the complex processes of all of this. I mean, you can make this 1,000-step system of how to manifest, or you can make it one. And it's speaking at the same truth that a lot of times, I mean, nobody comes into this space usually starting out from like, in a happy, elated, life is going well, disposition towards life. Usually something has happened. Usually a series of things have happened. Most of us in this space have gone through some version of what could be considered enduring trauma. And you've probably been to counseling, and you've read the self-help books, and you've found that nothing was worked, and you've continued expanding your understanding of what's possible to reach these teachings. Usually you don't just start here. Usually this is a succession, typically, but different things happen to different people. And once we learn that I'm the creator of my reality, usually then there's a resistance towards that, right? Because it's like, no, I didn't cause my breakup. No, I didn't cause my childhood trauma. No, I didn't cause that car wreck. No, I didn't cause myself to be broken with for the 5th time in a row. No, I didn't cause myself to lose that job. No, I didn't cause my house to burn down. No, I didn't cause my dog to get sick and to die in front of me. I didn't cause those things. You can't tell me that I caused those things. I'm not the cause of those things. And then we get through that because we realize that it's not necessarily that you were willing your dog to die in front of you, or your cat to get some mysterious illness, or for your parents to get cancer, or for your house to burn down. Like, you weren't willing those things, but it was a particular state of emotional vibration, right? It was fear of loss. It was grief that was enduring. It was an understanding that things don't go my way, that anytime I get something good, something takes it from me, that I have to earn love, that I have to earn respect. And because I had a belief system that taught me that I had to, or because I had a belief system that affirmed the certainty, rather, that I had to earn respect, I found myself in relationships where I was continually disrespected. And in that experience of continual disrespect, I learned that I was creating patterns in my 3D reality where no matter what I did, it seemed like people just didn't give a damn about me. So it's not that you caused that person to leave, but that you had a particular state of being that was emitting information in your field that attracted the reality, or at least the appearance of an illusion of reality, that attracted those certain events to you. I was talking to a friend about a deep pain that I went through. I mean, you walk, that was a slip. I mean, you walk right into it, really. You create the circumstances for yourself and you walk right into it. You really do. But he was asking me how I was not upset at the set of circumstances and at the people involved. This was quite a while ago. And I told him, we were discussing these teachings, and he's not really for it so much, but we're discussing these teachings. And he was like, I just can't understand how, like, how you're just okay with this. And I was like, well, the only person I could really truly be mad at is myself. And I'm done being mad at me. I mean, there's no, you go through your grief, you go through your pain, cry it out, whatever. Like, do not deny the reality of your emotions. But that's self-flagellating, self-loathing, I can't stand myself, regret, shame, guilt, shame being I am bad, guilt as I did something bad. Like, that's done. I was like, I learned enough of that, that programming in my childhood. Don't need more of that. Because the reality of the circumstance that we're talking about, and this is the case for you as well, whether we're talking about I don't like really negative or positive events. I think it's all leading you exactly back to yourself. But if we're talking about it in terms of negative events, positive events, and everything in between, which again, I don't really like, because it's all one thing. But if we're talking about the different flavors of reality, all you're seeing are people that are scripted in your reality to play the roles that you've cast for them based on the information that you're emitting from your field, based on your state of being, and the types of things that you attune your attention to, your alignments, your certainties, your agreements on a consistent basis. Like the very worst things that have ever happened to me, I wasn't aware of the laws at the time, but when I reflect back at them, I can see that when I say that I caused them, that doesn't mean that you should hate yourself and that it's all your fault and that you should blame yourself, but that you were in a particular state of being that did represent a certain type of programming that you accepted, probably unconsciously, usually as a result of culture and geography and ethnicity and gender and parents and lineage. As a result of all of those things, we get indoctrinated, we get conditioned, we get programmed, because we can't help that. That's the state of the human condition. And we live out that state of programming. We live out the contents, rather, of that programming until we look at it and decide to sweep the slate, which you can do in an instant. You will need to probably do it more than once. I can guarantee you'll need to do it more than once. We sweep the slate and decide to align with that which we desire. And that has nothing to do with circumstance. That has everything to do with the person that is experiencing that circumstance. So I said that to say that we'll come to this space and we'll think, if I can have anything I want, now that I've accepted that I am the cause of all things, even the negative stuff, which we have to move past that resistance, negative, and there's no negative, but that I'm the cause of all that I see in my life, that man has no external causes other than himself. That's, Neville Goddard. Then now I want money. Why? Because then I won't be worried about money. No. No. That's what that scripture was pointing to. If you want money because then you won't be worried about money, what you're saying is that, like, I'm currently worried about money now, so I'm trying to manifest out of my current circumstances. Or I want love because I feel unloved. I want love because I got left. Or I want love maybe because I've never had love. Well, that's you trying to pour the new wine into the old skin that's going to break it anyway. Now, there's further down that in that scripture, it says that, and once people taste the new wine, then they'll actually prefer the old wine, which my interpretation of that, again, this is all my interpretation. You can take it or leave it. I don't really, you're on my channel. So if you don't agree with it, if it doesn't resonate, then it doesn't. But the way that I interpret that is that we get so accustomed to the familiarity of things that we don't know how to even acclimate our taste, meaning our state of self, or even our preferences with the new. I'm sure you've had this where, maybe you really wanted a job that had flexible hours or whatever it might be, or a certain pay income, and then, or whatever it is that you wanted, you finally get what you wanted, and then you don't know what to do with it. Or I have one client who just entered retirement, right? And I'm like, isn't this the kind of life cycle, right? Like, she's like, I don't know what to do with myself. She's like, I feel like I'm driving myself crazy because I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, isn't that the fucking paradox? So we do all this, standardly, at least the kind of the standard American paradigm of arc of lifestyle, right? Is you work all this time, you have your kids, you get the dog named Spot and the white picket fence and the husband you divorce, and you go through the struggle and the strife and the hardship, and you do all that to get to 65 or 70. All of that, to get what? To get time. To get time, to get to a point where you don't have to work. You do all of this taxing emotional labor. You spawn people into your reality. You take care of them. You deal with all of that, all of this hardship. You finally get what you want. And then you say, I don't have enough to do. I was like, gosh, isn't that just the cruelty of this life here? So then we think, or if you think of Exodus, and they're in the desert and they're like, Moses, where's our food? Where's our water? Like, what's going on? At least with the Pharaoh, we had 3 hots and a cot. We start romanticizing that old state. Or when you decide to align with love abundant, when you decide to align with being desirable, being respected, being adored, and all of a sudden your partner breaks up with you, or maybe your situationship, they stop responding, or you start losing friends. Well, you just align with a specific reality, a specific version of yourself, which is a specific timeline, which puts you on a specific frequency that, unfortunately, it seems that those people couldn't follow you to. Now, of course, I guess you can manifest different versions of different people, of different things, whatever. Look, I'm not an SP coach. I would say I'm a field coach, right? Because that's the way my life works. I don't want specific people. I mean, I just manifested 2 exes back, and I was like, and I wasn't even like, I was doing this work. I was being love. I was deepening. I was, like pouring into the well of love that I have for myself. And then, I had 2 people that, it ended terribly on my end, and it wasn't my choice, and they come back very recently, and they're apologizing. And I want nothing to do with any of that. I want nothing to do with that. Now, what I see that they were responding to is this new cloak that I've got on, and I'm going to continue. That cloak is going to continue getting stronger and stronger and stronger. That's going to be my work for the rest of my life, continuing that expansion of, you could even call it worship of the self. So they're just responding to that. But I'm like, I want things in my field that have not been, tainted with negative associations. But here's the thing. I mean, you can have whatever associate. That's just my thing. I don't want old stuff, but a lot of people, and that's back to that old wineskin. A lot of us, we want, I want to manifest my ex back. I will never help you do that. I will never help you do that. Now, I will help you create a field that's conducive to the love that you are. And if they happen to come back, then cool. But, but you can do that. You can, this is limitless. I mean, it's all different timelines, so, I mean, it's infinite timelines. You just align, and creation is finished. You just align your attention to that which you desire to experience. For me, I want old stuff. I don't want old stuff coming back in a new way. I want new stuff that's happening in a new way, that's responding to the new field that I am emitting. But when we lose stuff, right? So that's what I was talking about. Because you can do anything. But when we lose stuff, then we want to go back to that old. Why? Because it's familiar. It's familiar to our nervous system. It's probably familiar to our attachment style. It's a certain type of pain that we already know. So it might be old wine, which wine's kind of weird to talk about because I guess you want old wine. And I wonder, I was like, I might come up with a different interpretation of that later on as I age in life. You want old wine, but hearing that, the way that I hear it is, we have a specific amount of expectation and familiarity with that old wine, that even if it's old, even if it's, and I'm thinking about like old fermented, like I'm thinking about like a negative type of old, right? That it's fermented and it's bad. At least I know how that tastes, because this new wine is, I don't, this was made of, green grapes, and that's made out of red grapes. So I don't know. I don't know how to taste that. But, what I'm saying is that you don't manifest out of a situation, that being the main point here tonight. And it's where a lot of us come to in this space, and that's where a lot of us get stuck. And then we get stuck in an idea that we are stuck, and we start embodying a state of being of like, well, I'm not seeing any movement. Well, you're not going to see movement if you haven't decided to be the movement. And I don't even mean movement in terms of like be the gradual unfolding, but to be, in the end, to be the identity that is experiencing, to be the person that is experiencing the end of whatever it is that your aim might be. So it's not, at least to me, the way I talk about it in terms of the field, it's not about the person that you're going to manifest as your SP. It's the person that you get to be in the context of that relationship, which is probably loved, which is probably desired, which is adored, which is favored, which is treasured. And you be that now. And as you decide that, like, this is who I am, the things that are conducive to that state, that represent that reality, that is what you're going to see. That is the new wine in the new skin, but we can't pour the new wine in an old skin, meaning I can't, my SP, I'm trying to manifest John, I'm trying to manifest Susie, I'm trying to manifest, oh, why isn't it happening? I'm stuck. This stuff doesn't work. I need a new coach, and I need a new video, or, I need to buy a new course. It has nothing to do with any of that, because you're trying to pour the love and the experience that you would have with John or Susie into the old skin of, I can't stand being by myself because I don't like who I am. So I need John or Susie to show me who I am, and I'm going to manifest them. And then I'm going to have this great experience. Otherwise, if I don't, I'm miserable and I'm posting negative comments on coaches' videos because I don't get why I can't have what I want. You're trying to pour the new wine into an old skin. You decide that I'm the new wine, I'm the new skin. That's it. That's it. We're not talking about the old. I'm not manifesting love because I need love from the outside, because I have this old skin, but maybe I can redeem the old skin if I put new wine in it. Like, no, it's all new. You just decide that, like, this is the case for me. We're not manifesting out of very recent experiences. We're not manifesting out of illness. We're not manifesting out of pain. We're manifesting health, because health was always the case. Perfect health, mobility, flexibility, and just plain sexiness was always the case. We're not, I'll get there. I'm trying to, again, this old skin, like, I'm unhealthy. I have these health issues. So I'm now trying to manifest health. Like, no, there's no old skin. We're not talking about old skins. We're not talking about old wine. We're not trying to pour new manifestations into an old state of self. Most of us, we don't revise our state of self, but then we think that once we get those new circumstances, so I'm doing the tips and tricks and techniques, once I get those new circumstances, then I'll have the new circumstances, and when I have the new circumstances, I can be a new self. But that's backwards, and we're taught that way. So no more old skins. No more old skins. No more old skins. No more old wine. You're not manifesting out of anything. You're tuning your attention to the state of the I am, of the identity of the person that is already those things, which, like, we're only ever talking, we're talking about, like, the fact that, like, you're God, is you're the creation origin point of all things. So we're talking about being love, being abundance, being beauty, being joy, being calm, being the contentedness, being the safety, being the security, all the good things. Being that. And then, yes, you can attach perhaps a certain set of circumstantial events that you would like to correspond with your state of self. But the events, that's bonus, that's extra, that's just more love on top of the love. That the circumstance is not the source. If you get nothing else out of what I said, the circumstance is not the fucking source. So with that, check out the Dispatches from the Edge of Obvious podcast. Definitely a bit more of a philosophical take on things, but if you like me talking here, you'll like me talking there. That is available to you for free on Spotify, as well as the Liberation Chronicle and the Substack community. Both of those links are posted in the show notes, and I thank you so much for co-creating, as I said, this moment with me. Remember to be good to yourselves and others, because everybody's just a version of you anyway. Until next time.